Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time, whether it be morning, evening, or night, listening to the episode. Not only is it my lovely self, but I have someone else who is far more beautiful, far more intellectual than me coming and joining this channel to talk about his experience, his design. And that is none other than Vladimir. I'm sorry, Vladimir, I'm going to absolutely butcher your last name. I know we just talked it, but Gadineco. I was closer, but I didn't
Almost,
get it. I
almost.
didn't get it. I know I didn't.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, Vladimir Gaidenko. Yep.
Gadineco, sorry, mate, sorry. But it's great to have you here. Vladimir is that of Associate Lead Scripter, and we're going to be talking about his journey, kind of what you've been through, your process of design, and your elements from all of this, mate. So I'm very
Yep,
excited
yep.
to have you here.
Yep. Hello. Thank you for having me.
And I wanted to talk about what was it then, mate, that first got you into games that made you realize this is a career that you could take?
Yeah, well, games were always part of my life. Like I've
Mm,
been playing games since I was a kid, and actually I'm not certain what was the moment when I decided that, yeah, I
yeah,
just want to like make games as well besides just playing them. So yeah, it's been a huge part of my life. I've been playing the games. As a kid, I was studying how to actually create games, what I can use. It was like 2000, something like this. So it wasn't
yeah.
like the era of Unity or Unreal. So it
Mm,
was a bit more difficult back then. Uh, but yeah, it was always my passion, and gradually, steadily was learning all the things I can put my
yeah.
hands on and find even like online. Yeah, and that's kind of the root of it.
Instead of a traditional sponsor, what I'm offering now is that of joining the mailing list. Social media is constantly changing all the time as we're seeing some people are leaving Twitter, others are choosing to remain, Blue Sky, Threads, all of this. So it's really hard to reach out to all of you incredible aspiring and current game devs. So what I'm offering here is that of a emailing list. So if you want to be kept up to date with all of the great level design news, as well as get your free guide, which is my 10 tips towards better level design, then please join the mailing list. You'll be making sure to get 3 emails a week with me sharing that of different resources, ideas, as well as what I've learned through my career and some Q&As. So if you're constantly looking to improve level design and instead trying to figure out where all this information may be, then look no further than the mailing list. Check down in the description below to join now and get that of your 10 tips to improve your level design. No, man. And was there any games, I guess, that really stuck with you? You say you're playing games constantly. Were there any
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
3 or 5 games that really just you feel
Yeah,
pushed into
it's
it?
I guess it's pretty interesting in the topic of like the coming from basically like yeah from Eastern Europe, from
Yeah.
Russia. I think for a lot of people back there it was Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Warcraft 3, Gothic, Elder Scrolls, Morrowind. It was like
Mm,
all of this. So yeah, it's basically same for me. Like the
yeah.
core of my design approach, design ideas I have. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. And what do you think? I mean, it sounds like there's obviously a lot of a fantasy element
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I guess indeed.
Do you think that that's something that you're drawn to as well in terms of that style? You know?
Like fantasy as a setting, yeah, it's indeed a bit more comfortable to go for, but I wouldn't say I only look only for fantasy genre of fantasy games. Like sci-fi
Mm,
is also interesting, or even historical settings
yeah.
are also pretty cool.
Yeah, man. No, that's awesome. And then from there, then, mate, like you said, you started to learn a bit more from this. Where, when you figure out kind of what you wanted to go into, as there's many different areas of development, I guess what brought you into more of the design
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
side?
Yeah, for me, what I wanted to like focus on it was hugely game design, so not like programming or art. But also at the same time, like it's not like you can just go in a company and say, okay, I'm your game designer now. Hello. So yeah, I was looking for places where I can study, and actually I found one place in St. Petersburg where they were preparing not game design per se, but um, directors of multimedia, which was
Mm,
a bit more broader topic, like different
yeah.
kinds of media besides cinema. So like games, multimedia projects, online projects, so everything. And yeah, basically actually getting things from there, which was an interesting experience because it opened up a bit broader picture than just pure like how games are made, but more like how the cinema direction happens, what the like
Mm,
the drama, how you craft a story, even like with all the beats
yeah.
which go in there. And yeah, actually it was pretty interesting and helped me kind of verify that yeah, that's definitely what I want to do and proceed in this direction.
And with that there, because you said you introduced your broad style topics, you mentioned that learning more about story crafting. I guess what is one of the most interesting things you took away from looking at it from multimedia, right? Not just that of video games. Is there anything
Mhm.
that stuck with you there?
Uh, Yeah, that's actually interesting to say because yeah,
Mm.
it doesn't correlate one to one to what I
Yeah.
actually do as a lead scripter, but it just broadens your horizons and kind of gives you indeed like this perspective from the outside, not purely inside your craft. For me, it was more from the from like cinema kind of perspective, so like the
Mm.
visual side,
Mm.
how you do put story which you want to tell, not just with words, not with dialogue, which usually how we do in RPGs especially,
Yeah.
but through visual element, through cinematic, through different movement on camera, because it was never on my horizon. Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of what kind of quests I want to do, of what kind of tasks I want to give the player, but not to actually how to show it. That's, yeah, that was something interesting. But again, I'm not doing it for my work, so it's just outside perspective to understand better how to help with
Yeah.
this.
I think it's always great to have those. Like, I don't know about yourself. I like to do photography as a hobby. I'm not
Yeah,
any
yeah.
good in it. Let's make that clear.
Okay, okay.
But it's something that you said. It just it opens up your eyes to seeing things slightly different or
Yep, yep.
respect on how you can use it as a tool regardless. And I think that's nice. And that,
Hmm.
is there any hobbies in there that you find that are useful for giving you a different perspective, mate?
Well, yeah, most of my hobbies are somehow involved in games, so not
Hey,
really,
that's
but
very fair.
at the same time, I'm just exploring different like themes and cultural kind of things
Mm,
uh, for my own personal projects, but also it serves as inspiration for like more professional experiences,
yeah.
like again, history things or maybe a bit more from the like horror genre, like in general, like books, movies, all of these. So yeah,
Yeah, man. No, that sounds great. And I wanted to ask then, because we talked about different aspects of
yeah,
design
yeah,
and things. As you said, you're focusing more on the scripting. I
yep,
guess how did you get into the more scripting side versus say like other aspects of
yeah,
design?
indeed. That was actually pretty a good coincidence because yeah, I was going for more game design approach. I wanted to like direct the general idea of a game. And we were working together with several students in our own personal projects, some kind of like participating in game jams in different roles. So
Mm,
like my friend was doing all of the art things, but we had to have somebody who is going to actually put all of our cool ideas into the game. And I was basically the person who had to code things, who had to combine everything in
yeah.
at that time we already started using Unity. So yeah, I was just learning how to do it myself, how to assemble all the pieces. And at certain point, I just stumbled on like a vacation of a scripter, and it was pretty interesting. Like, what is it even like? Do I
Mm,
just write scripts? Do I code? What is it? And at least in my case, what turned out to be, it's actually what different companies call different names. Mission designer or quest designer or technical designer. So it kind of
mm,
fitted this indie. feel perfectly because in the essence we uh, combine all the moving pieces, all the assets, all the different things together inside like the actual final product which players experience. Like in my case, it's quests in our game, so I get
Yeah,
the assets from art, I get story from writing. We work together with the level designers, with cinematic artists, and kind of assemble all of these fragments together in one kind of piece of a medium.
that's pretty cool there because like it's interesting you mentioned as well. Like, there's two things I want to touch on. Like, they said the title can range very differently
Yep,
depending
yep.
on the studio. I think it's always important for people to read the description because I've made assumptions sometimes like, oh, this role has nothing to do with what I've done, and then you read it and you're like, shit, no, it's the exact same as what I've done, just different title.
Hmm.
And I guess because people, I'm not sure if you've been asked this question about people aspiring to get in the industry or not, mate, but people always ask how good or how much scripting knowledge should they have. Now, you've mentioned you are kind of the linchpin in terms of connecting different aspects.
Hmm.
So I'm curious on your kind of view, how well versed in scripting should one be?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's always nice to have some knowledge in different aspects. Well, in my context in scripting, like, yeah, definitely good to know Lua or Python or like any scripting language. But reality is, if you're not going for studio which works in very concrete engine like Unreal, which you definitely will be studying then to get into the studio, but they work on a custom engine, as in our case, uh, we use our own custom languages, scripting languages. So there is basically no opportunity to learn this language until you
Interesting.
actually get into the studio.
Yeah.
So at this point, what is way more helpful is to understanding how this sphere in which you want to constrain works, what
Yeah.
is the concepts, what are the main kind of core ideas, and being able to grasp them and study. Uh,
Mm,
yeah.
no.
Uh, Yeah, because in my experience, I wasn't, of course, knowledgeable in the languages we use. So I had to learn all of it. But because I was
Yeah.
using Unity, I already had experience with C Sharp or with what they had JavaScript. So it
Yes.
kind of just helped because the experience is similar. Yeah, sure, languages are different, but the logic still kind of goes into this direction the same way.
Yeah. No, that's very cool, man. And I wanted to ask with moving over from you to being into leadership, how has that transition been for you in this?
Yeah, it's been an experience, that's true. Uh, it kind of it's still a learning process, so it's, I would
Yeah,
say, I will never end up like saying like, okay, now I know everything and now I'm like the perfect lead. So
yeah,
it's always something new, and it's always discovering different aspects, different assets,
mm,
facets of this role. For us, the general idea is that it doesn't once you move to leadership, it doesn't mean that you stopped working on a game, or you at this point now you're a manager. You only should care about like managing things. We do want all our leads to actually be hands-on and actually do the
yeah,
content which our teams are doing. So indeed, this essence it didn't change.
mm,
But what is additional element now is this people factor, which yeah, it's for me at least it's definitely on another level. Like
yeah,
I keep learning every day how to be a better communicator, better collaborator,
mm,
how to help people uh, grow in their ways, and with different approaches for different person in my team as well. So
yes,
yeah.
yeah. I've recently moved into leadership about 8 months ago, and it
Mhm.
has been, as you said, a learning experience. And as you mentioned, there, like communicator. There's been a couple of times where I've been like, oh, everyone should understand. I believe I've explained it well, and
Yep,
then
yep,
I've
yep.
realized, oh no, no, and yeah, it's really changing how I uh, try to better communicate with the
Yep.
team to help. Yeah, yeah, it's I think it's an interesting one as well that you are still doing the work. I know there's some studios back when I was at Ubisoft,
Hmm.
the leads weren't allowed to touch the editor. They didn't want
Hmm.
that. And like where I work at People Can Fly, I still make levels alongside leadership, similar to how you carry out your work. And I think there's something important in that. It is. How do you find firstly balancing the two tasks? Because I
Oh
think that's
yeah,
quite hard.
yeah. Um, yeah, same. Still learn how to
Yeah.
balance it. Uh, Actually, yeah, I transitioned to this role at the end, almost at the end of the project, so it wasn't
Mm,
the best of times. So, uh, the idea is that you spend 70% of your time on making the stuff your team is doing and 30% on managing the team. But in my case, the reality was that I had to spend
yeah.
100% on making the game and also at the same time 100% uh, managing the team because the team was
Yeah.
with experience but still quite fresh. So yeah,
Mm.
it wasn't as flawless as I would have hoped for.
I think that the transitioning is always a hard bit, right? Because like I haven't even found the perfect balance of like you said 50-50 or it's supposed to be
Yeah,
70
yeah, yeah,
30. It's I think you mentioned it earlier like each person is different as well and communicating with each individual and learning their patterns is again this takes time before you finally build up a
yeah, yeah.
relationship. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm curious, do you have any tips then you think would be good for anyone who is aspiring to be a lead or recently transitioning towards being a lead?
Huh, interesting. Not that I can easily think of beside what was already mentioned. It's indeed like listening to the people in team and um, kind of helping the team grow, not like you yourself as like
Yeah.
I am the lead, I'm going to tell everybody how to do things,
Yeah.
or the other way. Okay, my team is doing everything for me now. I'm sitting back and just relaxing, watching them working.
Yeah.
It's indeed finding this balance of both providing for the team, also having your own input, but also at the same time kind of working together as a team at the end of the day. Yes.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, how did you find like learning to, because you mentioned there, right? It's not about you sitting back, but there is also the element of delegating, right? Like being able to give them work,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
finding that balance. How did you find that?
Yeah, it's still not easy, I would say.
Yeah.
There are definitely moments when I just know the answer and I want to just go and do everything myself, but at the same time you do have to provide opportunity for your people to grow and to get their own mistakes, to
Yeah.
understand why this needs to be done in this specific way and not the other way, and
Mm.
experience and get this experience themselves as well. Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's, especially as you mentioned when you joined, it was right at the end of a deadline. I think that's the bit that people don't talk about in terms of leadership because it's not just about you trying to set up a team, help them grow. It's also trying to deliver a project while achieving those other
Yep, yep, yep.
tasks. And they don't always, you know, go hand in hand at the same time, right? There are times
Yeah.
where you have to focus on the deadlines, times where you give, like you said, you mentioned you give people a chance to learn and make their own mistakes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's indeed different phases of production of development or project. It's different mindsets and different approaches you have to use. Like at certain point, you just have to make the game, and that's it. Like you just have to fit these deadlines to fit this release, and you don't have windows for exploring, for
yeah,
prototype and doing experiments. But at the same time, what's actually was a bit curious for me is
mm,
not that easy to change from this we have to finish the game right now mindset towards more exploratory where we don't know any questions for any of our answers. We exploring things and we just have to go with the flow and see what it will lead to instead of having concrete answers to all your
yeah,
questions and just following them.
yeah. I think it's really hard at times to get people on board with that mindset because, especially younger members of teams, I tend to find are looking for the answers, rightfully so, to help them
Hmm.
construct a clearer view of what they're trying to create. But as
Hmm.
you mentioned, like regardless of it, there's always something new. There's always a reimagining of something,
Hmm.
and it's okay just to try. But yeah, I've struggled sometimes to get people to take that on board, right? Really be
Hmm.
like, oh no, it's okay. We don't have the answers, but the great news is you get to explore,
Yep,
and
yep,
from
yep.
that, we'll find the answers, right or wrong. We will find something. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, with that, mate. And then I was gonna say, with all this stuff of like balancing and leadership, you mentioned earlier about game jams with your friends and stuff. Do you still find time to do personal projects now?
For personal
Yeah.
projects, yes. For game jams, sadly, not yet. Although it would have been nice to go back to this kind of, you have
Yeah.
2 days, you just have to do a working prototype of something interesting. Yeah, that's indeed a cool experience. For personal projects, I do believe that everybody has to have their own personal project so they can
Hmm.
use it as kind of output for their creative ideas, which are way too wild or just doesn't follow what you normally do,
Yeah.
or even just to learn new skill sets to kind of explore new possibilities which you normally don't use, like doing art if you a programmer, as an example.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think it's important. I think, like you said, it's a great creative outlet because you don't have anyone telling you
Yep, yep.
you can't do it. This is right or wrong. And I think, as you say, it's brushing up your skills. I also think it's something fun to show and talk about, right? Like there's so many
Hmm.
amazing devs and aspiring devs online. I think it's always a great talking piece where people want to see that stuff. People want
Hmm.
to learn from one another, which I always think's super cool, all in all. I would say, is there anything, we're talking about this because we met a year ago at Gamescom,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's currently Gamescom as we're recording this. Has anything caught your eye in terms of any games announced?
There were several interesting projects, but they mostly like big projects. I bet there are definitely good indie announcements, and I didn't check them yet, but I will be checking afterwards for sure.
No, dude, there's always a lot going on. It's hard to keep up with
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
right? There's so many there's so many games being announced and releasing these days. It's
Hmm.
amazing, but hard to keep up with. I will say Kronos from Team Blooper. I'm very excited to see what
Hmm.
they do with that from a horror point of view. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah,
looks
yeah.
that looks really interesting. And Silent Hill F as well. I'm very excited to see
Yep, yep.
both of those from a horror perspective. I say, in terms of genres, man, is there any genre you kind of like hope to work on? We touched a little bit on horror there, but is there anything that like you'd love to try figure out
Like
and design?
actually, yeah, it was a fun experience because back during the uni days, when we were working on our student projects, uh, I was just joking that at some point I just want to create RPGs and like more RPGs, and we even used it as our name for the team, like just more RPG team. And yeah, just turned out that I immediately
Yeah,
fit into this genre, so it kind of what I like to do, and I find everything I want to explore in this genre. But for personal projects, yeah, of course, there's way more beyond
yeah.
just RPGs, like indeed horror games or
Mm.
strategy games or more like narrative experiences because I usually don't write like
Mm.
dialogues or like narrative content myself. So
Yeah.
it's always interesting to try your own hand at this, but in like
Yes.
yeah, indeed free kind of free for air environment where you just can explore whatever and just
Mm.
go with this.
Yeah. No, man, I think that sounds like some interesting ones there. And have you got, I mean, I'm not going to ask you what the personal projects are, but have you got stuff you're working on as well, personal projects, just keeping you entertained?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, nothing concrete right now,
Yeah.
so yeah, not that I can show,
No.
but hopefully, definitely in near future. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm conscious of time, mate, so I'll wrap this up. I don't know if you want to share anywhere where people can get in contact with you if they have any questions, or if it's best just to leave that out as well discussed.
Like on Twitter is
Cool.
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
On X. Yeah.
Brilliant. I will have your ways to reach out to Vladimir down below if you
Yep.
want to get in contact. I said Vladimir is a lovely lad and kind enough to do this show, so I'm sure he's willing to help as well. If you've got any questions, if you want to reach out to me, you can do so on X as well, or Blue Sky, which is at MaxPairs. And just thank you all for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you all next time.